Hey everybody, welcome back guys. On today's video, what I want to do is kind of revisit a discussion that we had earlier in the year as far as which pre-made deer blind, if I was going to buy one, should I buy? I asked you guys that question. I looked at a bunch of stuff. I read a lot of your comments, went back and forth between some of the prefab stuff versus building another one, and ultimately I landed on buying a Ram 6500 deer blind. So what I want to show you, I'm on my laptop right now. I just want to take you guys through the whole assembly process, everything that I kind of went through, the positives, the negatives, and ultimately what I think, my first impressions, that kind of thing of the Ram 6500. So stay tuned. All right, everybody. So what I've got here is just a whole bunch of pictures I took throughout the entire process of getting this ram blind, putting it together. And like I said, ultimately I'll share kind of what I think of it so far. But I bought this from Menards. So they were, I think, $1,000, $999 for the 6500. They weren't in store. I had to order it, but shipped to Menards and I got 11% off. So I got it for like whatever, $890 before tax, and that kind of stuff. And this picture right here is how you are going to receive the ram blind as far as like its packaging and stuff. I will say I did get it home shipped this way, but I would highly recommend not shipping it vertical like I did. I ratchet strapped it down right on the pallet and it's screwed to the pallet, but it was, thankfully I didn't have to go far. Best thing to do, and I didn't take a picture of this, was just kind of, even if it's still attached to the pallet, just tip it down, put kind of the cone shaped top, like the roof section, down on your trailer if you're using a trailer into the wind, and then just ratchet strap through the windows. Where I put this on my farm, first thing I had to do was just clear out an area. So I cut with my brush cutter just a hole, a little pocket in this brush that is right in between our ag field and our little food plot that's back behind there. And I was building a platform too. So I guess I should also say, like, I did all of this solo. This was just me over a couple of days. I think it was 2 days total to get everything done. It would definitely help if you had someone out there with you, but just know that installing this blind, you can get it done on your own. So I took all the lumber and stuff out there, made the platform, got it in that little pocket. I only elevated it like 4.5 feet, I think is what it ended up being, or just a little over 4 feet. And I used some sheets of plywood and stuff like that and got that all assembled before I even started on the ram blind. So one of the things that I was a little nervous about, this picture definitely shows it, is you take all the packaging and stuff off. I mean, this thing looks like it's just super warped. And I was skeptical as far as how well this would take shape once I started the assembly process. So just know this is how it's going to look when you guys get started on things. Came really well labeled and packaged, pieces and instructions and all of that as far as steps go. It was actually super easy to walk through and follow. And granted, me being by myself, it took me a little longer, like I said, but with two people knocking things out, this would definitely go a lot faster. First thing you got to do, you're going to start on the door, is you're going to cut this little door tab off so it just keeps the door in place. You can cut it with a utility knife. I actually couldn't find my utility knife at this time. I used just a drill bit to cut it. And then when I did find my utility knife in my truck, take that little edge off. Make sure you do that as clean as you can, because you're going to put a door seal around here and you just don't want that door seal to be kind of funky. So after you do that, you install the door, basically like the hinge and latch and stuff, so you can put a lock through it if you want to. Nothing really crazy there. Here are all the door, like retaining, they're not really clips, but they rotate into place. Here's one side that's kind of just like a sandwich. You put the outside one on first with a nut, and then you put the inside one on with another nut. And you can kind of tune these. There's two nuts, so you can space them out different if you want like harder or softer retention for them. But they basically just rotate right around the base frame of the door. And after you get that stuff done, you're going to put the seal on. So this seal is a rubber seal, comes with it. I recommend, this is how I did it. You definitely don't have to. You can cut it into separate pieces and get the whole perimeter of the door. I actually notched it in anywhere I was going to make like a turn, like corners of the door and stuff. Just that way, it just kept the whole seal in one, continuous piece, and that actually worked really well. The only place where you've got to cut separate ones is right here by the door hinges. And I guess just to note, those hinges were actually pre-installed. So there you go. There's what the door seal looks like, as well as all the door, locks or retainers. Also know when you're going to cut this that it does have like metal wire inside of it. So something like a good pair of snips would be really helpful. A utility knife, you can do it, but it's a little tricky having that, wire kind of braid or whatever you want to call it, wire reinforced on the inside. So there's the door kind of all buttoned up. Came together really nice. Honestly, too, this was one where when you're first kind of take the door off, when you cut those tabs, it seems really flimsy, really floppy. It doesn't seem like it's going to go in place very well. But once you get the handle on all of the retaining stuff around the door, it fit up really nice with the door seam. All right, guys. So here's a part I wanted to show you. So the way the blind is intended to be fastened together is you put the fasteners from the outside going down into the inside of the blind. With one person and not having a ladder, even me trying to use just like the tailgate of my truck to get it started, man, it was just too hard for me to do. So one portion of the blind, so the inner portion, does have pre-drilled, or you pre-drill holes. Sorry, it doesn't have pre-drilled ones, but it's got spots for you to drill holes before you put the two halves together. Then when you put the two halves together, you with that pre-drilled hole in what would be like the bottom part of the seam. It's just kind of like two, triangles meeting up together. Then you drill the outer one using the inner one as a pilot hole. No problems there. It was just getting fasteners, me by myself, started from the top was super hard. So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go from the inside out because I can see the hole. I can get up there, get it started, and I can just put the nuts on the outside. So you can do this. It's not how the RAM instructions tell you to do it, but me being by myself, it didn't really matter. It looks a little funky, but who cares? And I did that. I fastened by myself by just putting a pair of vice grips on the inside on the fastener and tightening down from the outside. So that's what it ended up looking like. Now the only negative to doing it this way is if you want one of the there's kind of like a camo insulated cover you can buy for the ram blinds. They're also on Menards. I can't remember the name. I'll put a link in the description though. You wouldn't be able to use that with all of the bolts sticking to the outside without tearing it up and stuff. So I went ahead after I did the door, I put the whole thing together. And one area where I did run into a snag is making kind of the bottoms meet up because they seemed like when I was doing it, they're the same basically like plane the bottoms are, and trying to get it to overlap down here at the very end, the very bottom of the first, you know, side I was doing, it just didn't seem to want to overlap nice. So what I did, this was not in the instructions, but this made sense to me, is I just kind of angled and took a cut out with my snips there, and then I could get it to meet up nice. And so here's what it looks like after having it all fastened together. And honestly, it came together a lot better, and just everything came to form and shape a lot better than what I thought it would, and how it looked when it was still two separate pieces. Now, I did not put windows in yet because what I was going to do, being just by myself, I wanted to make sure I didn't wreck or scratch any windows while I was moving it and then getting it up onto that, 4.5 foot platform that I made. I regret doing that now, and I'll show you guys here in a minute. Not so much getting it up there by myself or anything like that, but not doing some of the window hardware while it was still on the ground. So this is a video. I just set my phone down on the ground here to show you guys the easiest way to move this thing. It's not super heavy. Is just go on the inside of it. If you're tall enough, if you're by yourself like I was, go on the inside. Just basically do almost like a military press with it, kind of in some of the lower corners of where the roof kind of tapers down, meets the walls. You can just pick it up a couple inches off the ground and then just walk with it. That's what I did to move it from where we were, or where I was assembling it with my tools by my truck and stuff, over to the platform. So there it is up on the platform. I basically just tipped it on its side, put the base of it, the open end of it, right up against the platform, picked up the edge, and got it up on there. And then I went ahead and fastened with just, I had some extra washers and stuff, and I actually took a few of the washers from how it was packaged and just used some, I think, like 1.5 inch drywall screws and anchored it around as many spots as I could, trying to hit studs within the platform as much as I could, but it fastened down just fine. Here's kind of just a look. There's the corner of the field there, which is awesome. We can see and shoot the whole field. Here's kind of that little food plot that tucks back into the woods up by the field. And I haven't, as at the time of this video, but we trimmed some stuff up just so there was a better shooting lane and stuff there. And then I shored up put some corner braces and stuff in because my platform was a little wobbly once I got it up on there. And I guess just so you guys know, I built a 6.5, or sorry, 7 by 8 foot platform. So I just took a foot off the edge. I could have done a straight up 8 by 8, but I took a little bit off the edge, and I moved the blind all the way to the front of the platform, so I had a little bit of a like landing area when you step up onto it. Okay, so here's some of the window hardware. So there's window hinges. So you're going to have 2 of those per window, and then there's 6 window like clips, and they all screw from the outside. So just self-tapping screws. There's not pre-drilled holes, but there's just like little dimples in the plastic where you start those self-tapping screws. Man, having the blind up on the platform and having to do all this window hardware was not fun. So if you were going to do it like I did, what I would do differently here, I wouldn't put the windows in yet, but I would get all of the window hardware installed down on the ground where it's easy. And this is where, if you've got a buddy, man, tag teaming this would have made life a lot easier. It wasn't that it was hard. It just took a while to get all the window hardware in, but getting the windows and stuff in wasn't difficult. There's like all the screws and stuff, like all the hardware was well organized. It was easy. It just took a while with me having the blind up in the air. So here's a window. It does come with window seal. Just there's plenty for each window. You're actually going to have some extra too. I don't know the best place. I started and ended the window seam kind of by the hinges, like the middle of the hinges, and just worked my way all the way around. I didn't cut it into separate pieces or anything like that. I just went ahead and ran a whole, strip of that around, and then just cut it with a utility knife. Wasn't bad at all. And then here's like the first, complete window, all the tabs and stuff. And actually, it seals up well. I was happy with how it did, and they're nice and quiet. Now, the windows are a fairly thin plexiglass, so they're going to flex and stuff on you a little bit, but having those, 6 tabs, and I think I honestly, even on a couple of these like this one, you're only seeing 4. There was some of them where I was just getting sick of putting all those in, and so on a couple, especially ones that I know I'm going to open and close a bunch, I only put 4 in, and I saved a few as extras. Here's kind of a look here with all the windows done. You can see a lot of them have 4. Some of them will have 6 that I know I'm going to keep closed. But I went with the tinted windows too, and man, they're nice. They're clear. They're just flexible. You're going to want those little rotating clips to just hold those windows closed nice and tight. So then what I also did, once I got basically all that done, went back to Menards. I found just a whole bunch of, just a stack of like discount mix and match industrial grade carpet squares, like rubber bottom carpet squares. And I installed those down on the plywood. So I needed whatever, 9 of them to get the inside. And honestly, I just left it like this. I know it looks a little funky, but instead of trimming those corners, I just wanted to see if they'll stay up. It kind of helps seal a lot of the bottom of the blind where, it's not like a perfect seal down along the plywood. So I just left it like that. And if I don't like it when we start hunting, then I'll just take a utility knife out with me and nip those off. But it was not much. I think they were $2 a square. So check out Menards for something like that. But all in all, it turned out better than I thought it would, honestly. I like the blind. It tucks in really nice here. It went together well, and there's things that I learned for when I'm planning on getting another one here probably next year, assuming everything holds up well. But I would say overall, like my initial expectations when I saw, just kind of how um, warped or um, things were, like how they weren't to shape, I was worried that this was not going to come together well. And now that it has, now that I've got it installed, it has exceeded my expectations thus far. It's got a lot of room in it. Like the 6500 is perfect for two adults. I think it'll be just fine for two adults and a kid like our family, especially if, you know, one person is kind of the active hunter, and not everybody trying to maneuver around. But my son loves it. It's comfortable. Me and my wife both being people over 6 foot, we got a lot of headroom in there, and the blind actually, like, you can't really tell that well in this picture, but I thought about painting the blind or getting some camo, and I still might, but it actually tucks in really well in once you start getting a lot of shadows and stuff. Like if you just look at this picture, you can kind of see how there's, it's broad daylight, but you've got these pockets of black mixed throughout the trees. And granted, this is with all the leaves and stuff on it, but I actually like when I go on the other side of the field and I look back this way, it actually tucks in really well. It kind of just looks like a big shadow where there's lots of other shadows and stuff. Now, granted, when the leaves and stuff come down or the wintertime, that's going to look a lot different. But all in all, I am really happy with the blind. I am happy with how the assembly went. I'm happy with how it is now that I'm in it. The doors, the windows, all that stuff seals up really well. Every time I go to the farm, I kind of check on it and see there hasn't been water getting in it, at least thus far. Bugs, hornets, that kind of stuff haven't gotten in it thus far. I will say it is pretty warm, being the summertime, being a black blind, all closed up and stuff. Like it's pretty hot in there. But I really like it so far, and Menards was the cheapest place to find it. So if you guys are looking for a prefab blind, if you don't want to go through some of the hassle of building a complete blind your own, this one, the view through it is great. I really like it. I think I spent in total, something like $1,100 or so when you take in the lumber and some fasteners, carpet squares, that kind of stuff. Like all in, I was a little bit over $1,000. But so far, I couldn't be happier, and I can't wait to see how it does while we're hunting in it this fall. So that's the blind that I picked. Let me know what you guys think. If you've got a ram blind, let me know how you like it. Or if you're looking at one, hopefully this video helps you out so you guys kind of know what to expect. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon on the next video. Take care. God bless. And remember, be a sportsman, make a sportsman.